And a warm welcome to everyone here in the audience, our speakers, and those joining us remotely. I am very, very pleased to be here today to open the session of the Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity and a conversation between our dearest jury members and the previous prize winners. The Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity is a manifestation of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation commitment to a more sustainable and equitable world. Approaches to tackling climate change, including youth mobilization, coalition building, development of local solutions, scientific research, and leadership in ecosystem restoration. So we are here today to explore how can we remain hopeful in the face of adversity and inspire people to focus on solutions, collaborative efforts, and initiatives that benefit both nature and humanity. In this discussion, we will hear more from people that are actually leading the way to a more sustainable future. With us here, we have Johan Rockström, Director of the Potsdam Climate Impact Research Institute and one of the jury prize members. Then we have Runa Khan. She's a founder of the Friendship NGO and also a prize jury member. After we have Cécile Bibiane Jambet, activist and agronomist from Cameroon and the 2023 prize winner. Then we have Yani Salo, a representative of the Sungai Yutik community in Borneo, Indonesia, and also a 2023 prize winner. And moderating the conversation, we have Jessica Bridge. She is Head of Advocacy and Communications at the UK branch and a prize team member. Before I give the floor to the panelists, I am very pleased to announce that last month we launched the 5th edition of the prize. And in this edition, the jury is seeking to a diverse range of nominations from all across the globe. Nominations will be open until the 2nd of February. And please join us after the session. We have flyers all over the place, so you can learn more about how to submit a nomination for the 2024 edition. And now let's find out more about the prize and the previous winners in a short video. Thank you and enjoy your session.
The Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity rewards individuals and organizations who are leading society's efforts to tackle the single biggest challenge facing humanity today: climate change. With an award of €1 million, the prize recognizes climate actions and solutions that inspire hope and possibility. Since its beginning, the prize has highlighted the work of individuals and collectives across the world who are taking action for the benefit of people and the planet.
We all know that we have to change the way we live our lives. We understand that instinctively, and yet we all have difficulties in putting that into action. And these examples that the prize has highlighted are examples of people who have taken up roles of leadership, worked in concert with other people, often networked across huge distances, but rooted in their local communities and in concert with nature. And that is a very powerful inspiration to all of us.
The Prize for Humanity is a manifestation of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation's commitment to put sustainability and equity at the heart of everything we do, and links directly to the life and passions of our founder, Calouste Gulbenkian, whose legacy we have a duty to preserve. Greta Thunberg was the first recipient of the prize in 2020, awarded in recognition of her unprecedented work mobilizing and inspiring younger generations around the world to demand action on climate. The second edition of the prize, in 2021, recognized the importance of local action. It was awarded to the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy, a coalition of over 11,500 city leaders representing over 1 billion people worldwide. The third edition of the prize, in 2022, recognized the need for scientific research to allow for evidence-based systemic thinking. The prize money was split equally between the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, IPBES, and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC. In the fourth edition, the prize recognized climate leadership in ecosystem restoration and transformational work carried out by 3 different people in the Global South: Indonesian customary community leader Bandi Apai Janggut, Cecile Bibiane Nejebet, activist and agronomist from Cameroon, and Lelia Wanik Salgado, environmentalist, designer and scenographer from Brazil. The independent jury, chaired by former Federal Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, commended each winner for their innovation, impact and inspirational journey.
Es sind Menschen, die ihr Leben leben, ihre Lebensgrundlagen lieben, die für ihre Kinder etwas schaffen wollen und die sagen, wir klagen nicht, sondern wir hängen uns rein, wir vernetzen uns, wir verstärken unsere Kräfte und wir versuchen, andere zu überzeugen. Und der Preis kann helfen, diese Überzeugungskraft zu stärken.
The jury recognized the dedication and determination of these individuals in restoring critical ecosystems, whilst also protecting land rights for the benefit of their communities. These winners remind us that the effects of nature loss fall disproportionately on people living in the global south, who contribute least to the causes of climate change.
Great, so hopefully that gave everyone a bit of an introduction to what the prize is all about. For us, it's about celebrating individuals, organisations and groups that are taking action for people and the planet. It's about solutions and hope and inspiring possibility and action. So we're now going to have about a 30-minute discussion with our jury members and previous winners, and unpick some of that and think about solutions and what could really help others learn from their work. So I've got a big first question for Johan Rockstrom to open this discussion. This is really about action and accelerating solutions, scaling what's working and inspiring others to learn. So from your perspective, what is needed to accelerate climate action?
Yes, thanks. And I hope you've been inspired by the winners of the Gulbenkian Prize over the years, and that you also see a red thread in diversity, where we really try to, as a jury, opening up for an independent scrutiny of all the nominations for sure, but at the same time, really showing that we're deep into the Anthropocene, we're deep into a climate crisis, we have existential threats. We're putting the stability of the entire planet at risk, which means that we're putting humanity at risk. And at the same time, we recognize that we therefore have to connect the local with the global and innovation with dignity. And this is a kind of a complex matrix that we've been trying to emphasize so strongly. So, Jessica, part of your answer to your question, in my mind, is how can we find local solutions that can connect across the web of social and ecological agency and network to accelerate pathways towards solutions, and that the solutions will accelerate only if they are owned locally, but also if they are attractive enough to generate multiple benefits, that we can see good outcomes for planet for sure, but also for people. And that is a pathway towards the scaling of solutions. That's why we're, I think, particularly enthusiastic to have the 2023 winners who are so dedicated to the livelihoods of local communities.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we've definitely got that today here with us. So, could someone turn up the mic?
This one is functioning very well.
Thank you. Now I'm going to turn to our winners who definitely demonstrate this in action. I'd like to ask Yanni first to, could you tell us about the work that got the Sungai community in Borneo represented and recognized for the Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and also thanks Gulbenkian to arrange this one. My name is Yani. I am here to represent the Sungai Utik community. This year on July, Apai Janggut, or we call it Pak Bandi, is one of the winner of the Gulbenkian. So basically what the community doing is, the community is being protect the forest for more than decades, even though they are facing quite a lot of challenges and also a lot of things that offering, for example, like trying to buy the forest, and also other circumstances like illegal logging or forest being converted into other uses, but this community is continue protecting the forest. And actually I have a map video that can show, as you can see here, it's over 50 years that even though the area surrounding the West Kalimantan is being deforested, but on top, as you can see, that is the Sungai Utik, and that one is the biggest remaining protected. So this action, and under the leadership of Ape Janggut, is something that appreciated, and also it's Gulbenkian is what I mean here is it's the Gulbenkian is give them as a winner, which is pretty much like appreciated by the community. Answering your question.
Yeah, and if I can, I guess, speak on behalf of the jury, they recognised that APE had worked for decades and fought against many threats to taking over the land, and what the community is doing is really, really special. There are communities in the neighbouring forest where the trees have been taken down, and the community has not been able to sustain its livelihoods and lives, and children have had to move out. So it's protecting the very precious ecosystem of the rainforest as much as protecting the community and their ways of living and creating a sustainable livelihood too.
If I may to add that we should thank you for the people like Apai, and I think we also need more people like doing the same thing with like him. Thank you.
And now, Cecile, another incredible example of community work. Can you tell us about everything that you've done and you are doing?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for organizing this event. I'm Cecile, maybe it's the easiest name. I'm from Cameroon. I started by founding a local NGO in Cameroon in 2001, named Cameroon Ecology. Our work with that NGO led me to found a regional network we call the African Women Network for Community Management of Forest. We are in 20 countries in Africa, trying to push for women's rights, but supporting women's rights to access land and forest and natural resources management, but also because women are playing that key role, supporting them in their effort to address climate change, because they are also the victims of climate change. So that's what we have been doing till now, till I got this prize from the foundation, and I'm so glad that I could do that. Thank you.
Is this working? It's working now. So, Runa, I think this is working, yes. Could I ask you, Runa, Runa founded Friendship NGO and is a jury member as well. From your perspective, could you tell us what you think these success stories show us and what others can learn from them?
I think the most important and the most relevant thing is none of them are doing it for any other reason except the single reason of their heart. Their heart led them to do the work that they are doing today. If that had not happened, they would not be able to today sit at the panel here winning this $1 million prize, Euro prize. And how does this come about? This comes about by deep, deep commitment. What we have seen, the commitment that our winners have had. You ask them a question, perhaps it's not always coming out as a reply which you expect, but it is a real and true reply which comes out right from their heart. The work that they have done, the way that they have put together the community to see real results happening, real impacts happening, to create something out of, to create a vision not only of themselves, but of taking the whole community as a whole, and then seeing the impact which has happened to them. for continuity of the work that they do. They themselves don't have to do the continuity. The continuity can be done with what they have given to the field and they have left behind. This diverse way that they deal with engaging people, engaging community, ensuring that it goes beyond just human to human respect, it goes beyond to the respect of the environment, to the respect of every creature on this planet. Unless they work like this, I don't think that we would have people like them today sitting here, and perhaps so many of you don't know the organizations they work with, but they are the real people who are making the difference to this world, who are making the world better for all of us to live in. So thank you both.
Yeah, commitment to the cause is certainly a theme this year. And I'd like to pick up on what you're saying, Runa, and ask Cecile, could you speak a little bit about challenges that you've experienced in your work working with women in Cameroon, and in particular how you've overcome those challenges over the past sort of decade or so?
Thanks again. Yeah, maybe it's good that thank you. It's good that I explained that I used to work with the ministry. I was a civil servant. I worked with the Ministry of Agriculture in my country and the Ministry of Forestry and Environment. But after 12 years, I left the ministries because I wanted to be, anyway, I was not feeling very well useful, I may say. So I asked the minister, because I left when I was in the Ministry of Forestry, I told him I would like to leave the ministry service and work with the local communities, mostly rural women, because I think here in the ministry I'm doing administration, but I am agronomists and foresters. I think I can be more useful if I'm working in the village. That's how I left the ministry. And when I left the ministry, I joined the civil society movement, and I created this NGO I was talking earlier. It was not easy, or even today it was not easy, but the challenges, if I want to really talk about them, the challenges come first on the type of work you decided to do. Because usually you have an inspiration, you have a vision, but you have to make others share that vision, understand what you want to do, and have them with you so that you move together with them. The real power is when we are together. So I also took a lot of time explaining to some of my colleagues, to even the women themselves, because, you know, we are educated in some ways, and I'm working with rural women that have been modeled a different way. So it was not that easy. That first. The second is cultural. In our culture, women own nothing. We don't have ownership of land. We don't have ownership of forests. We don't have ownership of anything, but we are doing all the work. We are 80% responsible for food production. We are those who are caring for the family, for the children. We are those who are taking care of, you know, everything. And we have our practices in forestry that are more sustainable. So we have to make sure that what we are doing, at least we have the possibilities to access the resources that we need. And it was not easy. How to bring women to restore forests while they don't have any ownership of the forest. So we needed to work very hard. We involve male-headed families. We involve traditional chiefs. We involve the public administration, the ministry, the technical services to support us so that we can help, because at least what we are doing is also helping our government to implement their commitment. Cameroon has committed themselves to fighting climate change in 2007. They have the NDC that has been produced. They have the Red Plus national strategies. But we need to contribute to the implementation of all that. But how can you be effective when you don't have a space? So that was the first challenge, and it's cultural. It's not because the law cannot provide room for the women to own land, but it's cultural. Even if if you want to get it, you should buy it. But traditional land, women don't have no access. They can use it because they are married, they use for their husband, but when the husband dies, in some cases, it becomes very, very difficult. So that was a great, even today, that challenge does exist. Of course, with my price, the government now is taking things differently because they understand that I'm doing something which is helpful, not only for the communities, but also for the government. But that is really a problem. Access to security to tenure so that women can improve what they are doing. The second challenge was, of course, funding. They are doing all that with very little, really very little. I will come back to the price. And when I will explain to you what the price has been used for, you will understand that it has been something extremely important. So funding has always been a very, very big challenge, especially for women. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll definitely come back to that question, or I'll ask you about the use of that funding and what you plan to do next. Yanni, I'd like to ask you next, the Sungayotic community, like many indigenous and customary communities, have got a very special natural relationship with nature and the land and the rivers around them. Can you speak a little bit about it and some of the techniques that they've used over the decades and passing through family traditions and generations to protect trees and their relationship with the land?
Yeah. Okay, this community is, we have different challenge with you. In your case is you looking for land right? But with the community, they get the land right in 2022. But before that, they also facing quite several challenging, especially it takes them 40 years to get the legal right. And the other challenge is actually also the poverty. So they are pretty much the community who live self-subsistence. So for them is the reason why they are so much integrated with the forest is because it is part of the culture. So that's why they have a good philosophy here. Is as an Iban is forest is our mother. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. So they have a Iban philosophy here as land is our mother, and forest is our father, and water is our blood. So the value of the forest for them is a source of life, and it is also integrated with the Iban culture, because the forest is the place for the ancestor and also source of food and clean water, and as well as medicinal plant and the supermarket. For us, like people in the city, if we want to go to find the food, we go to the supermarket, but for them is they just go to the back of the garden. So this is the reason why for them is very important, and they keep protecting that one, and they fight over that one because of the meaning of the forest for them is a source of life.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to Johan next, and we've had some incredibly successful localized stories and examples. How do you think these local solutions can be scaled up regionally or globally?
Yes, I think it's a question of connecting scales and recognizing that community initiatives on the ground coming out of the heart of the drive of local innovation and agency admittedly will not succeed in really translating to larger national, regional, global transitions unless we also get policy, institutions, legal frameworks. We need trade agreements. We need to basically recognize that the tough policy arena and the political setting and the institutional arrangements have to be arranged and reformed in ways that they can support the pathways, so that the examples that we see so promising, these are two fantastic initiatives, but we have so many of them out there, and we have so much evidence today that, we can say with a high degree of scientific evidence that one big question is, can we actually have a decarbonized world energy system and still have a responsible energy provision for 8-9 billion co-citizens on planet Earth? And the answer is yes. Can we feed humanity with healthy, sustainable food within planetary boundaries, still with 9 billion co-citizens? The answer is yes. It's quite interesting that we are no longer in a fantasy world in terms of aligning people and planet. It's connecting the dots across scales and in different sectors. So, and that's easier said than done, of course. My personal belief, to close this, is that I think we need to connect the bottom up with the top down. So we need all the drive from below, innovations, civil society, community rising, but at the same time recognize that we need to expect leadership from above as well. There has to be results in meetings like this that truly provides holding of the whole and setting a price on carbon, cutting emissions by half by 2030, protecting all nature, so that initiatives on the ground can thrive and can be protected and not be only islands of success in an ocean of ignorance, which is basically what we have been seeing for the last decades. So that's, I think, where also the beauty is, because we know that our elected leaders, when we have democracies, they are, really sensitive to where the wind is blowing. And that's why they need to get informed from the ground of where is the trajectory of travel. And I think the Gulbenkian Prize provides that kind of direction of travel.
And thinking of non-elected leaders, leadership comes in many forms. And I'd like to ask Runa next, we're looking at a group of people here who are sharing these fantastic examples and representing initiatives and thinking of leadership. What qualities do you believe climate leadership needs today, or a climate leader?
Well, I think the first thing is deep understanding of the fact that doing something successfully at a micro level, if you do it very successfully, you can then only hope to make it at a macro level. We can't start from macro levels and bring it down, because each area, each community, each context is so specific. But there are similarities, and these similarities here needs to be linked somehow, so that from those micro level initiatives, something macro can happen. And this can come from, I think, one of the most important points of leadership to the most important point of leadership, which is verity. If there is no verity in leadership, which means in action, in the thoughts, in the way that you communicate, there would be a real dearth of scaling also here. Along with that, I think this understanding, of how you work. The inclusiveness has to be beyond your own organization. Your aspirations have to be beyond your own organization, but a far more bigger aspiration of involving everybody, ensuring that the gaps which are there are filled, and you are not the only person in that role to fill it, because only then you can embark everybody together to move ahead to a goal which is something like climate. You cannot do it alone. Scientists can't do it alone. Decision makers can't do it alone. Some of them don't even understand what the scientists are talking about. Excuse me, that happens all the time, don't you understand? We know that. And then, along with that, there are the activists. We need them because they give another message. There are those on the field who work bringing in solutions which needs to be communicated in a way, and the leader himself has to have big courage to take a step of leadership. Courage is so important. Along with courage is something which is totally the opposite, which is humility. Along with courage, you have humility. But in that, the base of verity is most important. And just to expand a bit on what Johan said here, it is how you sell to make, it's how do you sell these initiatives to make it global. And I think as leaders, who are working at a level which is impacting maybe millions, but still at a micro level, I think here is where we need solidarity of actions of scientists, of communicators, etc., to help us to be able to communicate what leaders at the field are doing in the context of climate to bring it to the front.
Thank you. I'd like to turn to the audience soon to give people an opportunity to ask our special panelists questions. But first, we've talked a lot about networking, connecting, scaling. I think it's a good opportunity to hear from the prize winners what this funding is going to be used for, because there's some exciting stuff to share. Cecile, can I ask you first to share your plans?
Thank you. The plan. Let me tell you that after the prize, we had a work plan now with the prize funding. With our network, Cameroon women, we gathered together and we have a 2 years work plan, and we have even started implementing that work plan. And our plan is that upscaling the initiative that we have been doing successfully. So supporting those women initiatives to upscale them so that the impact is more important, it grows, and climate is benefiting from that. Now I'm here, but before I left Cameroon, we have already a nursery of 12,000 trees that has been established with the fund, and we still have. It's not. Yes, this is our women and youth putting in place that nursery, and we have 4 sites like this, and this site is 4,000 trees that will be planted, and we have 4 like that. And it's only, it's not even a third of the price, you see? No? So I'm sure that we really, and the government of Cameroon, I'm so happy and grateful that now they are very open to give degraded land to our communities, to our women, to restore it. But I am negotiating to have the documentation, because if the documentation is not there, security also is not there. But they are really open to do that because of this price. And our plan is just to continue to supporting this initiative. And what we are also doing, because women have opted to plant fruit trees, because the fruit will also improve the diet of the family and also improve the income of the women, because they will sell part of the fruit and they will get income. But the trees will be there to serve the humanity. So we are linking climate change and livelihood development, because I think we cannot achieve sustainable development if we forget that poverty is also part of the sustainability and part of the life. So we are really supporting this initiative and trying now. Before the prize, I think in Cameroon we were supporting 600 women. With the prize, we'll multiply that at least by 5. So we are aiming to cover 30,000 women before in 3 years, because of this prize. So you see that the prize has brought more support to women, but it has also brought good visibility Now, my government is taking things very seriously than before, and I have got, I don't know, I think I'm getting people who are very much engaged now to supporting our work. I'm just from Antarctica. I have never dreamed to visit Antarctica, but I was chosen by a group of women who read from me in the newspaper and everything, and they offer me the visit to Antarctica, where I have spent 21 days looking at the impact of climate change on Antarctica. So I think the prize is opening more doors, and I hope better doors. Thank you.
It really is incredible what you have planned. Yanni, could we hear what the Sungayutik community in Apai have got planned and what they hope to do with the funding?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted with the sound. Okay, so basically the grant, we put the funding into 3 years grant, and then it is to ensure the money is spending well and giving impact. So first is we set up steering committee. So the steering committee is also coming from the senior people in the community plus one external body. And that steering committee is as a role as a government body and as well as the decision-making process. So then we are also using the community institution, which is the name is Gerempong Menua Judan. So the institution is as a role as executing body to receive and also to managing the fund. And then the fund itself, it is divided into two things. One is the short term and the second one is the long term. So the short term is in the format of the cash distribution, which is I have a video that a week ago, the first disbursement of the funding, which is 25% of the grant, is distributed to the community. So the community in total, there are about almost 300 people. It's about 90 households. So they receive the fund, and also for each family, we open the bank account for them. So this is also part of the education for the local community. Normally they don't have a bank account, but this time is we giving them bank account and also give them education that the money should be spending well, because normally my experience with the indigenous community, when they get money, so they just use the money for whatever they want. So there is also element that raising awareness that the money should be using for the basic need. And the other is the rest is for the long term, using for the long term, which is like to support the education and health program. So we already identify what kind of the activities, because the community also proposed the proposal, because there is 3 schools around the village, and then we support the school equipment, and also for 3 years also we give incentive for the teacher. So now they have English teacher to teaching the English and also the math and also the science. So in principle is the funding is also using to give a better quality of education for the community. And also it is planning to provide scholarship for the young generation, and also as well as boarding house for the student to live in, because the problem with them is because they are living in the remote area. So when the student want to go to the higher education, they have to away about 80 kilometers from the house. Sometimes because it is very expensive for the family, so they just not let the kids study further because of it's very expensive to put them in the near city. So with the fund is planning to make a kind of like a boarding house, so the community, the students especially, it can be lived there without paying much. And the other thing is also to improve the health care equipment, because there is also a facility from the healthcare for the children's, women, and as well as the senior citizen. And the other is also develop the business plan for the alternative income to secure long-term income generation. So for example, like to do the agriculture practices to increase yield, and also animal husbandry, and also to develop the homestay and others things like having a car and ambulance to transporting the community from the village into the nearby city. And also there is a element of capacity improvement, and also create a decent job, because this grant is designed for 3 years. So far there are already about 25 people. The local community is being hired to be part of the project and to support also the activities related to the health, education, agriculture, and also ecotourism. So and the other thing is the grant is subject to be audited, because we also giving them financial literacy, and also it's just hoping that if they can pass this, and we hope that they will be able to receive another grant similar with this. Thank you.
Thank you. It's incredible. And so what we're hearing is a lot of co-benefits. We were talking about the challenges of climate financing, some of the more traditional communities and methods, and often it is about what Johan was saying, like sustainable development and livelihoods too. I think we'll play briefly this video so you can see the Sungayotik community and them receiving the funds, and then we'll turn to the audience where we've probably got time for 2 questions. We're quite tight on time and we started a little bit late, but yeah, we'll have time for a couple of questions from the audience afterwards.
Just give you a little bit explanation. That is a long house, and this is the children. And this is Apai, Bandi, the winner. And that is the forest.
Terima kasih Gulbenkian. Telah dilakukan pembagian dana tunai kepada masyarakat Sungai Utik sebanyak 960 juta rupiah.
Kasih dengan Gulbenkian karena duit itu diberi kita untuk kami membangun.
Penggunaan uang ini kami gunakan untuk renovasi rumah, untuk buat rumah dapur, kamar, dan buat pintu, dan banyak lagi yang kami buat untuk keperluan uang ini. Terima kasih Gulbenkian telah membantu kami, terima kasih banyak.
Kami udah nerima duit tuh kena kami ngagak dapur, ngagak kamar. Kami berterima kasih ngau Gulbenkian ya udah mereka kami dana tuh.
So I think we have just a little bit of time for audience questions if anyone would like to ask any of our panelists anything. Is there another microphone?
Well, first of all, I'm George. I'm a board member in a state-owned company in Portugal, but at the same time, a researcher and PhD student for public policies. And I would like, first of all, to congratulate Gulbenkian for this prize. So you anticipate in more than 2 years the loss and damage fund in action, and really it's very, very, very grateful. And of course, I would like to have the opportunity also to congratulate not only Gulbenkian but also jury. In this case, also in the person of Johan Hogstorm, because for me, I pass all the time read articles and study your articles, so this is a great honor also to make a question alive for you, of course. I only have once with Will Stefan, so this is also a great honor to be with you. And of course, for me, you are one of the fathers of earth science. If Einstein said that Galileo was the father of the modern science, you are the father of earth science. So thank you a lot also for your contribution to our humanity. And I would like to make two questions, one for Roxanne, and ask in this once that was saying about this bottom-up and the top-down connections, if multi-level governance is not a really solution also to put in practice with the indicators and so on that could be put in practice, this necessity to act in these terms, of course, and if we don't have lack of multilateralism to do that, because it's different in different regions of the world. So I think that it's not, we don't play the same, I should say, scenarios, the same realities in these different countries, and with the lack of multilateralism, I think that we don't go further in this sense. And I'm speaking from the heart also. And to Rune about the education, because we miss a lot in some, I should say, some societies that not only invest in leadership and also in the communities, but also to change some behaviors by educate. And we know that we also have a long road and a long path to do that, but maybe in 10 years or 20 years with these inspiration projects you can educate our other societies or re-educate, because in some cases we forgot our history and forgot our traditions that were more sustainable than are today.
Yeah, I can start. Thank you so much. And one more intellectual champion who is also not with us anymore is, of course, the Nobel Prize laureate Elinor Ostrom, who really received the Nobel Prize for the polycentric governance approaches that you're alluding to. And I think one of the finest contributions of our dear colleague Will Stefan, professor in Earth System Science at Australian National University, who also is no longer with us, was to connect the planetary boundary science with law, with governance, with the need to recognize that in the Anthropocene, where we are right now, where we as humanity constitute the largest force of change at the planetary scale, we simply have no choice. We need to connect governance across scales, because otherwise there won't be any dignified outcomes of the kind of initiatives that have been, the very, very worthy laureates of this year's Gulbenkian Prize depend on the stability of the environmental conditions at the planetary scale. So the interconnectedness is needed for any chance to have outcomes that are not only dignified and prosperous and equitable, but But even to have a manageable future, we now need to connect the scales. So I think we need to get the earth sciences, the political sciences, the social sciences, the legal research, the economists, and those in the humanities to really work together with communities on the ground to spell out these interconnected governance structures. Now that is, of course, coming across undoubtedly as a big ask. I would argue, though, that we're not so far away from doing it. We do have the architecture to deal with it. I mean, if you just look at, I just came from one of the presidency's sessions now with mayors in the large cities in the world integrating biodiversity and climate action using the planetary boundary research at the city scale. It's phenomenal what's being done in many of the cities in the world, Lisbon being one of them in Portugal. I mean, it's not as if we do not know what to do to interconnect scales when you really look at it at the practical level. So I don't think one should see it as some academic exercise. It really is an action agenda, which also can help the climate outcomes.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you very much. So, first of all, I think, so when somebody says Women's Day, for me, let's strive towards having a day for humanity. And women are just as needed on this planet as men, and the men have to deeply, deeply understand and respect that. That's one. Number two, I do not really believe that programs have to be done specifically targeting women. Of course, there are things which a woman can do, and there are things the man can do. If we try to make programs directly for women only, you create such social disturbance that it really becomes an issue at the grassroots level. Family planning, if you don't invite the man thinks it's the woman's problem, etc., etc. And it's serious. I mean, that's how we see it. And thirdly, the problem is that the women have always been so neglected. When we do women's program, it's not to make a woman's program. You have to keep the vision clear. It's to ensure that they reach the same level of knowledge, experience, learning, awareness as the man in the house. So therefore, you have to invest, as you invest more in children and their education, you have to invest more in women, giving them the tools to become equal. So I think if we look at women in this sense, rather than being condescending that women have to be given this advantage or that advantage, I think for me it's a lot stronger. And that's the way that we should look at empowering women and embarking women on this journey with the man together.
I think we're being encouraged to wrap up, but we've probably got time for another brief audience question, if anyone would like to ask the panelists something. If not, I have one final question to all of the panelists to ask you. So today we hope to leave the audience feeling hopeful, and I hope you are feeling hopeful now. But could I ask you please, what is it that makes you feel hopeful today? What do you feel inspired by, or what do you feel hopeful about?
Yeah, I think what makes me most hopeful today is that we don't need to rely too much on hope to solve these problems that we're facing, because we have so much rational, empirical evidence that the outcomes, if we decarbonize the global economy, transition to a sustainable future, we are in a much more modern, attractive, prosperous, and equitable conditions for human livelihoods. So we are, in that sense, we've rounded the corner already. Now is the question to accelerate. I think that, to me, gives a lot of optimism in the future.
Thank you. You have to tell me if I'm wrong. I heard today, just by the by, I heard today that if 5% of the subsidies given to the oil companies, only 5% is not given, the loss and damage, whole thing can be covered. Wow, we can do it.
What makes me hope? I'm very hopeful. Why? Because first of all, there is a growing recognition that we have to act and to heal our planet. That is I think everybody is now conscious that something has to be done and we don't have to waste more time. That makes me very hopeful. But I'm also very hopeful that this prize, Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity, will open more doors to support communities, to support women who are the key actors in addressing climate change. So I'm very hopeful. Since last July, people that have contacted me, the journalists, the development partners, I'm really hopeful that things will work and we can scale up and we can heal our planet with women. Thank you.
For me, to accelerate more action, we need to give more recognition for the local community and indigenous action on the ground. And Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity is one of the best example. Why? Because with the climate fund that now is happen is things that quite difficult for the indigenous and local community to access, because is it a lot of requirement and a lot of safeguarding, and then also a lot of language that is hard to understand. So simplify things like Gulbenkian's doing, like you choose the best action on the ground and then giving them an award, and then after that it can scale up the action and also for the climate change and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. You shared so many wonderful, rich insights tonight. I think this is the moment for us to promote that the 5th edition, as Katia mentioned, is open for nominations. We're welcoming nominations of individuals, groups, and organisations. So please do make a submission. It's free. It's very easy to nominate. You can scan the QR code, and you can come and speak to team members if you're able to stick around, and we can tell you more about it and encourage you to submit ideas. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, guests. Thank you, speakers and panelists. I hope you have a very successful rest of the COP. Thank you.
The Gulbenkian Prize for Humanity rewards individuals and organizations who are leading society's efforts to tackle the single biggest challenge facing humanity today: climate change. With an award of €1 million, the prize recognizes climate actions and solutions that inspire hope and possibility. Since its beginning, the prize has highlighted the work of individuals and collectives across the world who are taking action for the benefit of people and the planet.
We all know that we have to change the way we live our lives. We understand that instinctively, and yet we all have difficulties in putting that into action. And these examples that the prize has highlighted are examples of people who have taken up roles of leadership worked in concert with other people, often networked across huge distances, but rooted in their local communities and in concert with nature. And that is a very powerful inspiration to all of us.
The Prize for Humanity is a manifestation of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation's commitment to put sustainability and equity at the heart of everything we do, and links directly to the life and passions of our founder, Calouste Gulbenkian, whose legacy we have a duty to preserve. Greta Thunberg was the first recipient of the prize in 2020, awarded in recognition of her unprecedented work mobilizing and inspiring younger generations around the world to demand action on climate. The second edition of the prize, in 2021, recognized the importance of local action. It was awarded to the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy, a coalition of over 11,500 city leaders representing over 1 billion people worldwide. The third edition of the prize, in 2022, recognized the need for scientific research to allow for evidence-based systemic thinking. The prize money was split equally between the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, IPBES, and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC. In the fourth edition, the prize recognized climate leadership in ecosystem restoration and transformational work carried out by 3 different people in the Global South: Indonesian customary community leader Bandi Apai Janggut, Cecile Bibian Nejebet, activist and agronomist from Cameroon, and Lelia Wanik Salgado, environmentalist, designer and scenographer from Brazil. The independent jury, chaired by former Federal Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, commended each winner for their innovation, impact and inspirational journey.
Es sind Menschen, die ihr Leben leben, ihre Lebensgrundlagen lieben, die für ihre Kinder etwas schaffen wollen und die sagen, wir klagen nicht, sondern wir hängen uns rein, wir vernetzen uns, wir verstärken unsere Kräfte und wir versuchen, andere zu überzeugen. Und der Preis kann helfen, diese Überzeugungskraft zu stärken.
The jury recognized the dedication and determination of these individuals in restoring critical ecosystems, whilst also protecting land rights for the benefit of their communities. These winners remind us that the effects of nature loss fall disproportionately on people living in the Global South, who contribute least to the causes of climate change.
Itu pakai ini.
Terima kasih Gulbenkian. Telah dilakukan pembagian dana tunai kepada masyarakat Sungai Utik sebanyak 960 juta rupiah.
Kasih dengan rincian karena duit itu diberi kita untuk kami membangun.
Penggunaan uang ini kami gunakan untuk renovasi rumah, untuk buat rumah dapur, kamar, dan buat pintu, dan banyak lagi yang kami buat untuk keperluan uang ini. Terima kasih Gulbenkian telah membantu kami, terima kasih banyak.
Kami udah nerima duit tuh kena kami ngagak dapur, ngagak kamar. Kami berterima kasih ngau Gulbenkian ya udah mereka kami dana tuh.